on Shield game. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see too much of it. But moving on to the next set, we have n0ne versus Spark. This is a tough one to predict. I've got my money on Spark. What about you, Max?
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of the character matchup, I'm definitely going with Spark, but n0ne is such an X factor of a player in general that, like, he can beat and lose to anybody. Like, global ranking does not matter when you're going up against this guy. But these two are relatively close on the MPGR anyway. So I think it's anyone's game, but I think I'm with you on this. Spark is probably my favorite to win, not just because of Sheik versus Falcon, but also how well he's playing today. I mean, a 2-0 on HBox cannot be ignored.
Yeah, the thing is, if I'm being honest, like MPGR rankings, I don't even like to look at them in terms of like the actual exact rankings. I kind of just like to group players together and say, well, these players are all about equal. And I pretty much view n0ne and Spark as being like in the same vicinity of each other. But I think Spark absolutely has the character matchup on him. And I think Spark potentially has momentum advantage in his favor as well, because he's off of quite literally the best win of his career. And honestly, he's never looked better. Like I said, he thoroughly outplayed HBox so hard in probably Sheik's worst matchup. We never see HBox drop sets to Sheik. So I think if he can handle HBox, if he can play anywhere near that level, he'll take this one as well.
Yeah, right? Like, you have to go from your worst or one of your worst matchups to probably your best one among the relevant characters. And yeah, that's definitely like a nice coast into the winners finals for him. That said, it's still versus n0ne, who's an absolute monster. But Spark has really been steadily improving at a very impressive rate for the last couple of years. Definitely one of like the newer success stories, cracking into that true top echelon of Melee.
Yeah, I've considered Spark a dark horse for really deep runs in tournaments like this for quite a while. He has a really analytical approach to the game. He messages me a lot to talk about things like frame data, game engine physics. He has shared a lot of his theory crap with me, even though you know, I don't play his character. He just always like consults in me, and we talk about Sheik things sometimes. So it's kind of inevitable that a player with that mentality ends up seeing success, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that kind of differentiates the new school demons from the veterans, right? Like, a lot of them, n0ne, for example, seems like a very field-based player. You know what I'm saying? He's just going with whatever the vibe is, and he's making it work because he understands people's tendencies so well. But Spark, cracking the game open to its fullest extent and learning the inner workings of it to that degree, certainly something that has to be taken into account.
See, even just now, even if he doesn't survive, I do want to point out that he did so he did survive, and I want to point out that he survived because he did a slide off on n0ne's back air, which is so much better than letting the back air send you flying, because if the back air sends you flying, then the remainder of the edge guard is just way easier for Falcon. But Spark knew that he would hug the floor after that back air and then just do a double jump back to the ledge.
Either way, n0ne's still going to clean it up. Just knocks him away with up air. And now, if he can keep himself safe, get a couple grabs in, this is looking really good for him. Falcon, fortunately, very heavy and can take some of these hits from Sheik, but that said, it will always set up into a very unfavorable edge guard, even if it doesn't kill him straight up.
Yeah, and Spark opened up that stock with a really cognizant shield drop forward air. You know, Sheik is just such a nimble character, and her ability to throw out a kill move like that off of a shield drop is something Falcon has to be wary of.
Little greedy with that last down smash, just underestimating n0ne's ability to sweet spot the ledge, I guess, and thought he would overshoot.
Yeah, and wow, n0ne gets the perfect opening on this stock. That's the one thing Falcon can hit that can really lead into big percent, is a stomp on Sheik's crouch, but he botches the rest of the punish, and it leads right into a reversal from Spark.
And I feel like these newer generation Sheiks are so good at the reaction tech chases, and not only reacting to it, but when you're not sure or you're not confident in going for the reaction, picking pretty safe options to just cover multiple tech escapes.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm really surprised to see Spark miss some of these needles on Falcon's recovery, because they're pretty straightforward, honestly, and it's part of the reason why Sheik has a really nice matchup against Falcon. But yeah, speaking of the reaction tech chases, they're pretty one-sided in the sense that it's borderline impossible for Falcon to reaction tech chase Sheik, because not only do her tech rolls go further, but they're also rather indiscernible until like a later on frame. And that makes it tough for Falcon to go for like a reaction tech chase grab. That's why you saw earlier Spark finished off n0ne finished off one of Spark's stocks with a prediction knee, whereas Spark, on the other hand, can just go for reaction regrabs, which is much more favorable.
Yep. Of course, the difference is how much damage each regrab builds for Sheik versus Falcon, right? Like, if you're following up with a knee, like, that's a fat 20, whereas Sheik's getting, like, what, 8 for down throw?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Sheik is going to have to finish off like longer strings typically, and Spark kind of failed to do that in this game one. He had a lot of the openings, but he botched pretty basic things like needles to intercept Falcon's double jump to the ledge. He didn't follow up his down throws too well, and it's uncharacteristic of him, honestly. Hopefully, he'll pick it up in game 2.
Yeah, and as much momentum as Spark may be riding for a win on HBox, it is also now a couple hours since he played that set. So it's had a lot of time to cool down. Probably was hitting the quick play, to be honest, or like grinding with somebody else good. But even then, it's a totally different mindset from coming fresh out of one tournament set into the next and like keeping that mindset going. So we could see things change a lot going into games 2, 3, and potentially beyond that.
Yeah, it's also a radically different matchup. Like, regardless of the fact that it's a more favorable one for Sheik, the tempo is just so different. You know, against Jigglypuff, you're playing a much more of a chess. It's more of a chess match where you're really just looking to tack on percent slowly and then gradually build up to a down throw into an up air for a finisher. But against Captain Falcon, you're actually looking to constantly have to deal with his pressure while also threatening a grab into a very long reaction tech chase string that you ideally kill him off of one touch with. So requires a lot of focus on Sheik's end, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, definitely switching things up from like chess to Fruit Ninja, where it's just all about the reflex. Okay, excellent SDI out of the jab from n0ne, saving himself from a lot of trouble. But it's FOD, and like you said, man, it's tough for Falcon to play on the stage. He doesn't have a lot of room to play around. Those platforms add a lot of variance that could contribute really negatively to his overall game plan.
Yeah, it's undoubtedly his worst stage, especially with how well Sheik's forward tilt and up tilt work with this stage's platforms. Like, if she's ever underneath a platform, it's probably in Falcon's best interest to just wait it out until that platform goes away, because he doesn't really have a good way in on that. That being said, n0ne is finding openings closer to the middle of the stage where there are no platforms, because Falcon is still able to thrive there. That's like, and I agree with that game plan, because if he were to try to contest Spark underneath these platforms, I don't think it would go as well for him.
Yeah, Sheik just so good off the shield drop too. Like, you don't really want to trifle with her, especially that close to the ground when the platforms are dropping. So, n0ne though, I mean, stage and matchup aside, he is cooking him right now.
Yeah, man, Spark is just not closing these stocks out, and wow, he gets the command grab. Damn, he gets another one on him. And this is going to go into a D. Yeah, this is almost going to be a 4 stock. I think n0ne just came into this with way too much momentum and confidence. Maybe Spark was feeling a little too good about his win over HBox.
Now that I'm thinking about it, these guys were both at DreamHack Atlanta 2019, just a couple months before quarantine started, and I'm trying to see if they played in the bracket, because they both made top 8, and they did not. n0ne actually avoiding Spark and losing to Face Roll and Mewtwo King. So obviously, you know, Sheik a great matchup for to go up against Falcon, but these two have not been battle tested, at least in a set that I've seen.
Yeah, I remember DreamHack Atlanta, and that was pretty much the nightmare bracket for n0ne.
Yes.
But the thing is, the Sheiks at that tournament were playing a lot better than Spark is playing right now. Because there's, you know, don't get me wrong, this is a great matchup for Sheik, but you gotta play cleaner than this, that's for sure.
Yeah, Falcon's one of those characters that if you're not playing at your absolute peak, it could very quickly get out of hand and your stocks would disappear. And Spark on the receiving end of that right now, down 0-2 in this set. He did, by the way, defeat S2J 3-1 at DreamHack Atlanta. So he certainly got chops in the matchup. I mean, as any Sheik player should, as really any Melee player in the year 2020 should. Now that Falcon's kind of seeing a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah. And the reverse. the reverse the reverse 3-0 is going to be tough for him to pull off with the way that n0ne is playing. Goes back to Battlefield. Yeah, FOD didn't really seem to work out for him at all. n0ne really handled the platforms well. I like n0ne's game plan of sticking to the middle of FOD where those platforms just don't exist and just commandeering the center of the stage. He got a lot of his neutral game wins towards the center of Fountain. And so he was able to work around the counterpick pretty effectively.
Yeah, a very unorthodox player, you know, kind of a wild card in his own right. So I'm not shocked to see that n0ne is good on Falcon's bad stages. Like, it just kind of fits his character profile. Well, all right, Spark off to a great start, only 40 damage. But let's see how n0ne's able to handle this. Now he has to make a comeback for, I think, the first time in the set.
Yeah, n0ne's SDI might have just been ASDI, but regardless, okay, that was a nice confirm by him. But I was going to say the ASDI or SDI that he did on the up tilt, he was going upwards. Yeah, he did it again. He's denying Spark's up tilt from leading right into a grab. That is a really good adaptation in this matchup because up tilt with those weak hits is very susceptible to being smash DI, and that's so much better than the alternative of giving Sheik a grab that can lead into your stock.
Yeah, and no easy task too. Like a pretty quick move, not a lot of hit lag when it connects, you know? So very smart of n0ne.
There's not much. Yeah, exactly. There's not much hit lag, so you're right that it's difficult in that regard. But like I said earlier in this tournament, Smash DI and ASDI, these things can basically just be option selected. And I wouldn't doubt that that's what n0ne is doing. Like, whenever he knows he's in a position where he's above Spark's up tilt, he can just OS the ASDI or SDI, and that's going to protect him if the whatever approach that he went for doesn't go his way.
Yeah, very true. Whether it's, you know, reaction or preparation, that's still really impressive. Good stuff from n0ne, man. Always pushing the meta for this character.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's it. n0ne has been calling out. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, that's a huge reversal. You know, Spark positioned himself exactly where he shouldn't have for n0ne to get that reverse neutral air.
Yeah, I think n0ne noticed that, like, the first couple times Spark recovered, he let him on for going straight to the edge. But then he's like, you know what? I'm just going to stay in place, wait. Like, it's Sheik, you know, how many options does she really have anyway? And that just gave him the set, a kind of blindingly quick 3-0 for n0ne.